We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Craig.
I did. Oh, wow! Right on the tip. Just on the tip.
And Blabs. Co-hosted by our friends from around the internet.
There is a portion of Norway where it is legally required to carry a firearm at all times.
If you're just a normal man looking for common sense in this crazy-ass world, you've come to the right place. And now, broadcasting from our homes from around the internet, it's time for Side Scrollers.
Okay, you ready? Open wide!
Oh, welcome out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com. And most importantly, SideScrollersPlus.com. What's going on, everybody? Hey. Happy Nintendo Switch 2 Day. It's Wednesday, and I'm Stuttering Craig. Good to see you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to stop the music for a second. We have some important things happening on the show today. In addition to the Nintendo Switch 2 Roundup, I'd like to introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, straight out of 1992 and straight into your hearts, Blabs.
What's up? I'm dressed as a Nintendo simp today.
Is that how Nintendo Sims dress?
I don't know, maybe from the 90s. I only was like 4, so what do I know? But yeah.
That is not.
Here's the thing, Craig. I was telling this to Mally, and Mally agreed with me. This hat is too big on me. It's too small on you. So, you know, it's got the weird point on it. It makes me look like I have a bunch of air in my head, which I know, she's the brain dead, but no. So I went sideways. It fits better sideways. It actually does.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, it looks fine.
Fire.
No, it looks fine. It looks fine, Blabs. Even Vera's in the chat just shaming you already.
What do you mean? She says poor Blabs. She probably agrees with me that I can't wear normal hats because my head's too small.
No. She's shaming you for wearing that hat like that.
Nuh-uh.
I feel like
I guarantee you Vera's like, yes, girl, rock it. We'll ask her this week later.
Is your favorite band Limp Bizkit?
No.
Or Boys to Men?
Definitely not.
Are you familiar with Limp Bizkit?
Probably if I knew their songs, but I know Boys to Men.
Rolling.
See, look what Vara says. I sympathize. Ha.
Oh.
That's right.
Can we boot Vera, please?
Absolutely not.
Please boot her. All right. Someone we will not be booting today. It is Wednesday. We're going to be talking Nintendo Switch, and we're going to be talking it with the greatness of Mally Mouse. Hello, Mally. Great to see you. How are you?
Hi. Blabs, I think you look great.
Thank you. Same.
All right. You just keep wearing that all day, okay?
I will. It fits. It actually fits better than a normal. So.
Okay. Well, we're live over on Kick and as well, which is fun. We're partners over there, but apparently, when you're part of the partner program, you got to turn off your partner program thing when you're streaming to other outlets. I mentioned this the other day, and I can't do that right now, so they're going to yell at me.
That's funny.
So I can't do that right now. So hey, Kick. Sorry about that.
Maybe Kick should fix their shit and let you like remove your partner while you're live.
True.
Yeah, I don't know.
That option would be pretty good.
I mean, it would be good, but I don't really know what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to figure it out. That's why I keep looking over here and I'm just clicking a bunch of stuff, and it's not showing up. Well,
I feel like this is Craig right now.
Yes, it kind of is. Where's Des when I need her? Where are you?
You just invade her and be like, "How do I fix this?"
Yes, like Montez, Montez.
Mon is doing my, so that's funny. My Des.
Yes. All right. So the big news today is the Nintendo Switch. We have a lot to talk about in that, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of good and also a lot of bad, which I was not expecting that. I'm going to be very, very real with you. But we got there. Mally, did you watch the presentation this morning?
No, it started at like 6 a.m. for me, unfortunately. So
I had planned on watching it this morning, and I woke up 5 minutes before it, so I was not able to get up. I wish I had a better excuse. I slept.
My dog ate my homework.
No, I don't. Just straight sleep. That's all, and I'm not going to apologize for that.
I kind of watched a bit of it live.
Once I got up, I was like, So I watched it once it got up, but I certainly wasn't stream ready,
He would have been like all like puffy eyed, like "Good morning, everybody," with like his tea drink in the morning. And it'd be like one of those cartoons, like Looney Tunes, where you like tape your eyes open and everything.
Makes true.
Yeah, I kind of would have. I'm really upset about this kick thing. In case you can't tell, I'm like looking at my monitor. I look like I'm fucking blind. I'm like,
hey, Stevie Wonder. Hey.
Straight up looking at monitor over here, trying to figure out what's happening.
Go in the settings.
I am in the settings. I'm literally in the settings. Clicking. I'm trying to click it.
I am in off and on again.
God damn it. Damn it, kick.
Yeah, I'm not a kick partner, so I don't know. But I'm pretty sure. What about stream info? Does that do anything?
Damn it.
Or edit?
Yeah, listen, I don't know, Blabs. I'm doing everything that I was told to do. It's not working.
All
right. Well, I'm going to get a nasty email and probably get a boot about it. And just put the time code out here, Blabs, so we can talk about it. So I can look. Yeah, I tried. Anyways, look, Nintendo Switch today. We have a noticeable death in the world of film in Hollywood, which doesn't happen very often these days. Most deaths are just a thing, but this one I think we all should stop down for a second. We have a very cool sponsorship that I wanted to tell you about, not with us, but with a friend of ours.
I was gonna say, I'm like, we do?
No. The best way to sponsor the show is for you to sponsor the show by heading over to sidescrollersplus.com. I don't know if you heard, yesterday we released the first episode of Blabs versus Mally, where Blabs took on Super Mario Brothers, the game she'd never played before, and we released that over on YouTube. So it's going fairly well over there. People seem to be enjoying it, which is great. And you can actually watch the full unedited, uncut version of that, and you can watch all the insanity by becoming a Plus member. You can use promo code BLABSVersus for a discount as well, or use promo code April, which will get you $30 off your annual membership. That code is good for just this week, so make sure you take advantage. You only got 2 more days to take advantage of that, so I take advantage of it now. So once again, best way to support the show. So also go watch the edited version of Blabs Versus over on YouTube. It's doing, like I said, pretty cool to see, and it's people seem to be taking to this type of stuff. It's growing subscribers.
It's fun reading their reactions and reading. I liked it.
That's the idea. The idea is give Blabs a controller and let her figure it out. And then
it was fun, man.
Yeah, the Clips on X had me rolling.
Thank you. It's funny because Craig and Phoenix still have PTSD. I'm sure their asses are still clenched from everything. So yeah,
my ass is majorly clenched right now to this day. It's crazy.
You're really toned then. You're just working out the entire time.
Non-stop tonage. That's right, going on in my butt. But yes, Switch 2 Day is here. But first, before we get into that, let's talk about today in video game history.
Okay, well, I feel like Craig's gonna be having a meltdown, but you never know. Okay, everybody, April 2nd, we have Final Fantasy.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, Final Fantasy VI released in Japan in 1994.
Hold on.
VI.
It's called Final Fantasy VI.
Yes, VI.
Oh my God,
and then we have Metal Slug 2 released in 1998. And then I discovered this game called Waifu Discovered 2. And I actually put it on Twitter, on the Side Scrollers Podcast Twitter account, which, by the way, follow us over there. I was like, who wants to see Craig play this game? And there are people. The end. What is this? Why'd you do that for?
This lady right here. She's responsible for saying Final Fantasy VI. It's 6 Blabs. It's,
VI.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VI. No Blabs.
Roman numeral VI.
All right, so noticeable games that you missed today. In addition to naming Final Fantasy VI for the Super Nintendo, we also had Bonk 3 for the TurboGrafx 16. The good old number 3 of the 90s. The TurboGrafx 16 was released. That was 32 years ago in Japan. Did you mention Metal Slug 2, Blabs?
Yes.
Sorry, I was so caught off guard by
VI.
VI, yeah.
Yeah, did you know VI?
Yeah, it's good, Blabs. Great.
You're welcome.
Also, a noticeable game that I don't think you know about. Earth Defense Force 4.1 was released in 2015, 10 years ago. Blabs also 4 years ago, a game that I'm sure Mally is downloading right now, released for the PC 4 years ago in 2021. A game called Lewd Girls Leave Me Alone. I just want to play video games and watch anime, hentai edition. So
don't put me in that boat.
You
No,
don't,
no,
don't put us in the hentai boat.
I rebuke that.
I'm sure you're downloading that right now.
No. It's the waifu discovered too, medieval fantasy that everybody wants you to play. That's the one.
You know, listen, lewd girls leave me alone. I just want to play video games and watch anime. Like, I love the idea that that's the name of the game.
I was just going to ask, that was a full-fledged sentence.
Well, why does GameFAQs or GameSpot have this on their website? Is this really the noticeable games for today? I mean, Oregon Trail for the iOS.
I mean, they put everything. But I gotta say, like, that is as long as an anime.
Hey, this is kind of a big deal. Amazon Fire TV was released 11 years ago. I have Fire TV. Do you guys have Fire TV?
No.
Oh, it's a pretty good product. I'm just saying.
See you, Amazon shill.
Dude, how can you avoid Amazon? Amazon is everywhere, all the time, constantly.
Yeah.
It's
I don't have Amazon.
You don't have Amazon? You don't have Prime?
I don't have Prime, but I have just a normal account.
But everybody has Prime. It's crazy. Oh, hold on, you shill. You have a regular account, you shill?
Yeah, just not Prime. I don't pay extra.
Okay.
It's a free account.
Okay. Shill, got to use Amazon. All right. You guys are watching over on Rumble. Hey, good to see. Oh, fuck. Drop my water.
I thought something spilled everywhere.
Over here just trying to wave at people and Cliff. It's good to see. I just want to say hi to Rumble. That's all. Hey, Rumble.
Maybe you should just keep all like body parts like in proximity today. Don't
Contained in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Speaking of body parts,
do you need a helmet?
No.
That's not a good segue.
No. Speaking of body parts, though.
Oh, here we go. Don't show her. Oh.
What?
You scared Mally for a good second there. She's like, "Oh, not the foot."
Yep, the foot's out. The foot's out, and it's there, man.
Foot's out for Harambe.
Long story short, Mally, I fractured my ankle. It turned out to be a fracture. I had so a small fracture on the very tip of my the bone of my humerus or whatever.
That sounds painful.
It's not good. It's not good. Looks like it's going to be about an 8-week recovery. So there's that. So
yeah.
Been a couple of weeks in a boot, then but it does look like the elephant man's foot right now. It is super swollen and gross. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So little boot talk today. So
okay.
I'm still obsessed with what's going on over here at Kick because I'm trying to.
You'll just be peg leg for a minute. It's okay.
Yeah. Maybe I could put a peg on it. That'd be good.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Alabaster Scarf came in with the 10. Says Nintendo bros stay winning. To quote Reggie Fils-Aimé, my body is ready. Also, Montez. Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to get into that because are they truly winning here? We'll see. Commodore fan says y'all need some floppy dad style hats. Look it up. I don't know what
dad hat, dude. Yeah, dad hat. That's where it's at.
They're like not the hard ones. They're like the soft ones, right?
Like these ones. Like this is a dad hat. This is a dad hat.
I like those.
I'm wearing right now, right? A dad hat.
Yeah, like the one you have. Yeah.
No, his is a little bit more like sturdy. But yeah, those are the better ones, Melly. They're comfortable too, and they fit tiny heads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mercenary says Nintendo simp Blabs is fired. Short for simpleton. Demi came in and says Silk Song, Enter the Gungeon. 2 and Deltarune sweep. Thank you, Demi. Mercenary came back, says Rip Val Kilmer. Only comedians should go April 1st. Jerry Bear is back. So it's been 11 years since the last DK game and 26 years since the last 3D DK game. Bonanza is a dream come true that nobody predicted or expected. Some people did predict that, actually. I remember talking about that about 6 months ago, that one of the Switch 2 games would be a open world DK game, but we're going to get to that for sure. Glad you're excited about it, Jerry Bear. Pudding Cat Steamboat, like your name, says, do you fear a dystopian future where only streamers and the rich play video games? The rest of us watch as we've been priced out of our hobby. Oh, yes.
No, because you can still play all the old stuff.
That's true. Mary says, looking sharp, Blabs.
Gang. Thank you.
Stop lying. It's ridiculous. Valiant came in. My boy says, why is Nintendo going? What?
I went to wave at Valiant. I smacked my hand into my
Did you hurt yourself while waving 2, Blabs? We're 2 for 3. Mally, you're up next. We'll see if you can injure yourself somehow. So,
Oh my god.
Valiant came in and says, why is Nintendo going to $450 for Switch 2? Because they know the demand warrants it and will have no problem getting it. I bet a huge number of sales, perhaps most, will go for the $499 Mario Kart bundle. We will get to that for sure. Yes. And listen, they know they can price it. Bullet Shepherd says, I didn't know all my all-time fave game was pronounced Final Fantasy VI. Thanks, Blabs. The Italian people are climbing on my list.
You're welcome, homie.
And
VI.
Lent says, Blabs looks like she's about to drop a beatbox album. Serious flow in the order of the beats. Nice. All right, and then we got this from B. Barrett says, who else is looking forward to George? Stop that. Demi says, Seaporn games are huge. Nataku is bigger than Steam. Nataku? I'm not familiar with that. I mean, I've heard of it, but it's never explored it. Bike Short says, I need that H edition right now. And Das Pooch came in and says, Fire TV was okay at first. And it's garbage compared to Roku. App runs like crap on Fire TV. Plus, they banned YouTube over a business slap fight for a while. Thanks, Das Pooch. All right, we do have our Montez goal today. Appreciate you guys, your support as we go. Mally will be voting on the Montez animation we have today once we get there. Currently sitting at 376 members supporters over at Side Scrollers Plus, on our way to 400. Just crossed 3,000 total free members, Blabs. That's pretty damn cool. So yes. You can make a free account over at Side Scrollers Plus as well. We do have free stuff over there all the time. All right, with that said, we got a lot to get to, and we're diving straight into the deep end, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. Friends, it's time for hard news. Hard news. Why am I rainbows right now?
Wow.
What happened?
I don't know. Something happened.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good. Hey, everybody, it's me again. All right. The big news today, obviously, is the announcement of the Nintendo Switch 2, specifically the date, specifically the game, specifically the dollar amount associated with it. There was a live Nintendo Direct this morning, which, as I said, I was going to react to. But oddly enough, that Nintendo Direct has been pulled off YouTube, of all things.
Well, it's not odd because it happened live where the stream actually got fucked up and it stopped playing for everybody.
So let me kind of provide a little bit of thoughts on that, because it did get fucked up. And I was watching it on my TV when I saw that. But I also had it pulled up on the brand new Nintendo app, the Nintendo Today app, and it ran fine. So I think it was on YouTube's end.
Yeah.
So that, people like shitting on Nintendo for that.
It might have just been overwhelmed because like a million people were watching live and maybe it broke something. I don't know.
I think that's pocket change when it comes to YouTube stuff. I think they can totally handle that. There's millions and millions of people watching live streams right now. Like here, we have 1.6 million people watching our live stream right now. It's great. And so we know Nintendo can handle that.
I'm just saying, but maybe there was like a Nintendo hater working for YouTube and was like, you'll never catch me now. And he like pulls a switch and like buffers the entire stream. Fuck you, Nintendo.
I love the idea of a Nintendo hater working in the back.
Working on YouTube and just pulling the plug.
Does he have a big mustache and does he twirl it as well?
Yeah, he's like, ha ha ha.
Yes.
Pulls the switch.
So here are the specs. This is what it makes the Nintendo Switch 2 different than the original Nintendo Switch, which I've said this before and I'll say this again. I said this yesterday and I will continue to say this. I think this is the direction Nintendo will be going for the rest of their company until something drastically changes, which is why they titled this the Switch 2 and not the Nintendo new console, whatever, right? But here it is. The Nintendo Switch 2 screen is 1080p and runs up to 120 frames per second. It's an LED screen with HDR support. The Joy-Cons are magnetic. I actually think this is kind of a big one. The bigger SL and SR buttons at the top. Like I always felt those were really, really. I got big fingers. I'm a big boy, right? I gotta have a hard time playing that. Larger control sticks, the mouse that we learned about as well. You can play with as the mouse, and they had a couple games there which were interesting. The improved speakers, the built-in mic, which this was kind of something that they really spent a lot of time in talking about how as you play, you don't need a headset, and it's noise canceling to where if somebody, they used an example of like somebody using a blender behind you, it'll still be able to pick up your voice fairly clear, right? It'll recognize your voice compared to the ambient sound around it. The new stand, the 2 USB-C ports, and that's important because they now have a camera, which you can buy for an additional fee. I don't know if we've seen how much that's going to cost.
I don't think we've seen the pricing yet. At least I haven't seen it yet, but I'm kind of worried the e-thoughts are going to have a good time with the Nintendo camera.
Yeah, we'll get to that for sure. The new dock supporting up to 4K, and so 4K games, and it's backwards compatible with the Switch, both physical and digital. And for me, that's probably the biggest and most important thing is the backwards compatibility with the Switch One. Mally, do you have a Switch?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the idea of your Switch games transferring over to the Switch 2? Do you like that idea, or is that it seems like a pretty big for me. It's a big win, right? I love.
It's a big win that it's backwards compatible and that it can handle them. That's nice. I don't know how I feel about the digital storage.
So as you mentioned, the digital storage here, 256 gigabytes, which I believe they said was 5 times the size of the traditional Switch, which will make sense given some of the announcements that we're going to have here in just a minute. The official website is up. They have the trailer, and you can see it all right here. The games now are red. There'll be red games with the little cartridges and stuff, so that's fun. If you're interested in the visual aspect of it.
Which is ironic since you don't really need the cartridge. It's more like show and tell because everything's digital now.
Well, not everything is digital.
No, because they said that it would be like you still have, even if you have the cartridge, it still needs to be digital download.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, I missed that. What?
I put it in the document, but I also here I'll share it.
Yeah, please, because I missed that. I totally missed that.
Nintendo's confirmed that some Switch 2 games won't have the game on the cart. The cartridge will only be used as a license check, and the game will need to be downloaded.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, so like... Yeah.
They want you to have a digital cloud of all your games on the device, so even if you have the cartridge, you still have to go through with all that.
Oh, no. Okay, Dava in the chat says, for only certain games. I don't know.
Yeah, it says some Switch 2 games.
But okay, so some games will be like that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how they're picking which games.
Right. Okay. Well, hold on.
But it's totally red though, guys. Woohoo!
Yay!
We're Sith Lords.
Okay. Well, here's the pricing on this pricing that was listed over in. Come on, why don't you pull up there? Damn it.
So basically with this is very it's kind of like the final nail in the coffin, I feel, for like physical games.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. So here, that's interesting. So it launches June 5th, which is about 2 months away at $449. And that to me, so there's the $449, which is like the base. Then there's the $500 version, which includes Mario Kart World, which is the game that they opened the presentation with, which that appears to be the killer app.
It does look really cool. I will say that.
Oh, hell yeah, it does. It looks outstanding. Looks great. The idea that, they're doing what you're seeing in a lot of modern games. They did this like in Street Fighter, where there's like an open world. There's this overworld where you can get around from place to place. You're in the game without playing the game. You're not necessarily racing at all times. You can fart around in the open world, which is not something that I expected to see from this game, which, I'm sure it's going to be fun, Are you a big Mario Kart fan, Mally?
I am. Yeah, I've been playing since the Wii. Like, that was actually one of the only games that I could get my mom, who's not a gamer, to play with me, because racing games are pretty easy.
It is definitely a game for everybody. It's a game that truly anybody can play. As we continue to make our way through, we'll get to the specifics in the games and kind of react to those as we go. But we also they mentioned I mentioned the chat that you now have. That's the C button that is on the controller. And everyone's like, what is this new C button? Well, it's game chat. And I think what you're going to see here is you're going to see a lot of streamers and groups take advantage of this type of thing, this setup where they're going to be able to stream it. And then with the camera a little bit later on, you're going to be able to see.
It's Nintendo Discord.
Yes, but you can, but will you be able to stream directly from your Switch? That's a question.
They'll probably do that eventually because streaming's even bigger in Japan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Streaming's big everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, but like
And
they
they
do
use
a lot.
the word stream, but that could mean cast. Like they could just mean, you're sharing between friends and not online. But yeah, so I'd like that.
The one thing, so in addition to the camera and the microphone and the streaming together with your friends and the Discord feature, this is the thing that a lot of people were clamoring for, which was for Nintendo Switch Online to feature for the first time GameCube games. This was, they announced 3 games that are going to be on Nintendo Switch Online, including Soul Calibur 2 for the GameCube, which is pretty cool. This goes back to why we need, why there needs to be a little bit more storage on there. Nintendo GameCube games will take up a little bit more space, not a ton more space, but a little bit more space. And then, of course, the 4K games as well. So, and you can buy the GameCube controller, and that will also, so people like that. So,
That's cool.
Yeah, I've already had people reach out to me about organizing a Soul Calibur 2 like tournament when it comes out. Let's talk about this game real quick before we get into a list of the other games. We talked about the mouse feature and like why would you need a mouse feature on a Switch? Well, they're gonna just like Nintendo always does. They're going to find a way to show you the best way to use their game, and they made a new game called Drag and Drive. Did you see this announced, Mally?
No.
Okay, let's check this out.
I was wondering what that mouse thing was for.
Yeah, let's see what you got here. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, at this point, I thought it was a DJ game.
I'm literally like, okay, so I mean, mixing.
A new Guitar Hero.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a DJ game. So, game where you play with wheelchair people.
Blabs, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Because
this is appropriation of the handicapped.
I was literally thinking that. Wait, so we made a video game out of disabled people?
I love it.
Okay, I think that this is 100% meant to be a tech demo of how to use these things, right? And this will be played by like, a dozen people. And it'll be fun. This will be like one of those fun games that you can play because it's a Nintendo game. It's a fun game. But I was watching this before I took my daughter to school this morning. And my daughter was watching the trailer as well. She started watching this. And you know what she said? She goes, looks super fun. And she's 13 years old. So she was like, she didn't see the people in the wheelchair. She didn't really care about that. She was like, oh, that looks fun. And she was most excited about this back here, where you can dunk with it and you can give high fives. She was like, you can just give high fives.
That does look cool.
It reminds me of the Wii motion
Yeah,
sensor.
no, it does. It's giving good vibes. It just made me uncomfy at the start because I was like, is this really the only thing we could come up with for this?
I think it's funny. I think it's Craig's future IRL.
Me in the wheelchair.
Because you busted your ankle.
You're gonna have two
playing basketball.
Well, I'll say this. I think immediately people were like, wheelchair game, really? And I think they were looking at this and saying, how can we leverage 2 mouse at the same time and use it in a game? And that was the best thing that they came up with. And on top of that, they've kind of created like a Rocket League competitor at the same time.
That's what I was thinking and getting from that. So it looks satisfying in that way that you get to race around, compete, do your different moves. It really is based on your skill. But yeah, I guess maybe just sociologically, the motion makes us uncomfortable. But I could get it. It looked cool.
I don't know if that's been announced for as far as the price for that game goes. But the price for other games have been announced, and that was kind of where we're at with all this. But let's go get to those games first before we actually get to the price. The first game they started out right out the gate with was Mario Kart World, which a new Mario Kart was been talked about. I actually mentioned on the show yesterday, I would not be surprised if they announced a Mario Kart 9. It's not Mario Kart 9, it's Mario Kart World. And it looks like freaking Mario Kart, man. And I got to be honest, I'm down. So we have Mario Kart here. We got all your favorites going through. We now have boats, which is fun. We have snow skis, which is fun, and planes, which they've had for a little bit. And it looks like there's customizable features and skins for this game, which is very intriguing, and I'll get back to that in just a little bit. Looks like Mario Kart, and it's a 4.5-minute trailer, which looks really, really fun. They go into where you can just play the regular game, or if you want, you can kind of move around the entire world map if you want, and just kind of, you don't have to do anywhere. They say you can, if you see it, you can pretty much go to it, which is very, very, that's pretty fun. Open world.
That's cool.
Yeah. So they have you they're showing off this gameplay, and they're kind of talking about moving around here, and you can kind of take selfies and blah, blah, blah. How fun is that? The social element of this. They get you on all this. They show you the gameplay. They get you excited, but they don't announce the price to it, Mally. Now, here it is right here. We've heard rumors of the $100 GTA 5, and after what Nintendo dropped today, we now have, I think those rumors are a little bit more substantiated, as they are going to be releasing Mario Kart World for $79.99, $80 for Mario Kart World here. We also, but I will say this, and this is the small light at the end of the tunnel. The digital game will actually be cheaper than the physical game, which I think people have been asking about for a long time. It'll be $8 cheaper. So this is, over in UK, the dollars over there. But yeah, man, this is a pretty penny to start paying for games. So we've jumped in the last year from $60 per game to, in this case, $80 per game.
Imagine if this is one of the games that we just mentioned, how it actually has to be digital download regardless of physical, and you still spend the extra money for physical. Yeah. They don't tell you, so it's like, oh.
I bet you that's exactly what they're gonna do.
Sneaky.
Well, Vera in the chat, she had this tweet earlier, and I don't know, man. Mario Kart World being $80 digital and $90 physical is insane. Donkey Kong Bonanza is still $70, so hopefully they're not trending upwards on every game, but looks like they're trying to price people out of buying physical and raising digital prices at the same time.
Yeah, and they're definitely very obviously trying to give some incentive towards only buying the digital version and trapping you into not having a physical copy by making it just a few bucks cheaper. But just like Blab said, it might not even matter if they just make you download it anyways.
I really hope they put a list of the ones saying that, even if you have physical, it's still a digital download, or else I feel like there's some lawsuits in there, to be honest.
You think there's nah, man? They
no,
got
if they're telling you, hey, here's a physical copy, but you still have to use the internet to download everything else. Yeah, isn't that a bit deceitful?
$10 for me, but you're doing that to millions of people. There's a lawsuit in there. You're blatantly lying.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. I think that the $80 price point is going to be a huge turnoff for a lot of parents. And I think that, and this is going to sound really hyperbolic, and it may be, but I think it's gonna hurt its launch, because as soon as parents know that the games are $80, just the idea of an $80 game, think about the optics of that. They've been used to buying $60 games for the better part of over a decade, and then, like I said, in the last year, games have gone from $60 to $80. That's a giant jump. And obviously, the idea of digital games, that's, I get it. They're trying to push the core audience there. But I do think there's going to be people who will hold off until games go on discount. And I know I saw people in the chat say, disagree, it's Nintendo. Look, I love Nintendo, but the price of $450, it's a lot, right? It's a pretty big price, but it's to be expected. I just think the optics of going from 60 to 80 is a lot for a lot of people. It's adding 33% of the price in a very short amount of time. And I realize that inflation has been a lot, but man, that's a lot of money, man.
I feel
No,
like
I
maybe
remember
I'll
when
go.
I would be going to the store with my dad when I was a kid, going to buy PS2 games or Game Boy games or whatever. They were $40 a pop. Then they raised to 50, and we were like, okay, we can do an extra $10. I'm trying to buy games nowadays is hell.
I actually think they might do a sale because it's coming out for June, right? And then there's Christmas, the holiday season, everything. So what if they price them all the way back down to 60 and be like, look, here's a sale. You can buy our games for Christmas. They might actually just do that.
I'll wait it out.
Well, we'll get to the games here in just a minute, as far as the other games that are announced. But first, Thomas came in with the $50 super chat. Let's go, Thomas. Says Switch 2 stats are trash. My 5-year-old Xbox does 4K at 120 frames per second and 1 terabyte of storage. Running 1080p at 120 frames per second would be cool if it was 2010. Having to insert a card to download a game with only 256 gigabytes of storage. Storage is cheap, and they could have made it larger. Thank you, Thomas. Really appreciate that support. Kratos says probably games that can't fit on my card will just be the download code. Nintendo isn't the first to do this. Many games can't fit on disk and require day one downloads. What's the cart cartridge cart storage size? Blabs, see if you can find that for the new carts. I am 16-bit says I'm buying the Switch 2 at launch, but I'll wait on the games until they go on sale. Not paying 80 or 70 for any game, including those from Nintendo. Chat, how do you feel about that? Once again, this is Valiant came in. He's like, why did they raise the price to 450, or why are they going with the 450 price tag? It's because they know people will pay it, right? And you wonder if that's the same sentiment with the $80 games. Going back to Mario Kart, right? I mentioned that there's it looked like there are some accessories in there, some skins for the different characters. I have a hard time paying $80 for a game and then paying more for skins. You know what I mean? If there's DLC for it. Now, if that's included in Nintendo Switch Online, which I'm already paying for, okay, cool. It is what it is. You already got me there. But, buying an additional pack is kind of like, after spending $80, or will I just spend it and forget about it? I don't know. It's tough.
I feel like normal people can't do that, though, because somebody even said it in the chat. They're like, well, normal people, and I mean normal as in everybody who's not Elon Musk, can you have to pick the game ahead of time and really scope it out, really make sure that you're going to like it so that it's worth that $80, because you're not getting it back if you don't like it. You're just stuck with a game you don't like. That literally happened to me with that stupid Princess Peach game. I had so much hope for that at the last Nintendo Direct, and now it's just sitting there at 5% finished because I didn't like it.
As Marmalin said, supposedly the physical games are also $90, right? And that was mentioned in various things. So, once again, you went from $60 for a physical game. You go to Target, you go to Walmart, you go to Best Buy, whatever. Well, I guess Best Buy doesn't have physical anymore. You go to Target, you buy a $60 game, right? Now they're $90. That's called sticker shock, right? Now your price has increased 50% for these games. I don't know. I don't know if that's a winning proposition for this. I think a lot of parents are going to be like, I don't know about that. So
No, the parent perspective is so true. I could barely convince my parents to get me $30, $40 little games when I was a kid because they were like, really? Are you going to play that? Are you going to make use of that? That's a lot of money. It's just inflated now, but it feels bigger because it's a bigger number. It's the same concept. It's like, kid, I'm not really willing to spend $90 on you for one game when I could be buying you new shoes or clothes or food.
And if you think that the piracy issue with Nintendo is going to stop because they've raised the price of the games, I mean, come on, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Tamamo came in and says they also announced a load of GameCube games like Pokemon Coliseum and Gale of Darkness with a sliding graphics. Same with upgrade packs. Yeah, we'll get to that as well. Thank you so much for that. Was says Val Kilmer was an amazing actor. May he rest in peace. My favorite movie he starred in was Ghost in the Darkness, movie based on the true story where 120 people were killed by 2 lions. It's fucked up. Thank you for that. JC Kessler says games are too big for physical media these days. It would be impossible to fit most current AAA games on a Switch cart. Are they?
Yeah,
Really?
I think that's debatable.
Yeah,
I think so too.
Especially because I went and looked what the capacity was for Switch 2, and it's 32 gigabytes.
right. But they have the control. They're the ones. So it's 32 gigs on a
That's
cart.
what I'm thinking.
They could have made it a terabyte if they wanted to.
Mhm.
When I going back 30 years, there was different size. Like that's the base model. You go back to the days of megabytes, 16 megs. You had an 8 meg game, and so that's scaled based off of the size of the cartridge. You'd have a 8 megabyte game, a 13 or a 16 megabyte game, a 32 meg game. You got a 32 meg game back in the day. That was a big deal, right? So you would like ultimately that is the they made that decision. So the idea of it's limited. No. I mean, I have a flash card right here that has two terabytes on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's necessarily a fair statement.
I mean, I personally miss the days of memory cards. I never minded those. I know it was just because of our time and technology, but like if they came out with something nowadays and said, hey, in order to maximize your physical storage, you're going to have to use memory cards again. They're bigger. Maybe each one's a terabyte. I don't know. But if you run out of space, here you go. Instead of being forced down the path of digital, I'd be going towards that any day.
We're going to use the rest of the stream, or I want you guys to use the stream as a way to vent about what Nintendo's doing here, or praise Nintendo. So this is what we're doing as we go along. So just heads up. Miku says, why wheelchair robots though? That's a good question. And Romer says, basketball game reminds me of a scene in Scary Movie 2. It's funny. Dirtus King says, I think the direct was more positive than down. I feel this is a standard looking starting games for the Switch 2. I am weak and will play F-Zero and try to summon up interest in a new one. Thank you, Dirtus King. David says, I think it's all about perceived value. I'd never pay $80 for say a Ubisoft game, but if for a Nintendo game, a game that I'll probably play for 10 years or more with friends, yeah, I think I can do that. Appreciate that, David. And I am the guy who said I think that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe may be the best pure video game of all time, right? I still go back to the idea of sticker shock, right? Once again, just put yourself in the shoes of Joe Schmo plumber in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, right? Who goes to the store, his kid wants Mario Kart World. He goes to the store, he's thinking he's going to spend $60, and all of a sudden it's $90. Yeah. It jumped 50%. That's it. Like, you're going to go, what?
Well, wait, that's after you spent $500 to get the new system, because maybe I'm wrong, but you can't play that new one on your old system. So you have to commit to the new system, and then when you're ready, bite the bullet on the new price tag. So yeah, sticker shock. Yeah.
Mercenary says, yeah, that price jump in digital download is a lawsuit. Nesnick says, could tariffs be the reason why Mario Kart 8 is $80? I don't buy that. I don't buy that, because why is the digital so much more? Tariffs have no effect on digital goods. So that I'm not.
No, it's just greed.
Dat Pie over there says, hard opinion to accept since we're on the consumer end, but we have $60 games for 20 years, spoiled gamers to the reality of inflation. If the game quality justifies it, I don't care. Survival of the fittest. And to be clear, we've had that conversation about how games have been the same price for a long time, right? I think you've set a standard here, and we talked about the jump from 60 to 70, and that is manageable. There was pushback on that, but people were like, okay, I get it. Inflation. Yeah. My biggest thing is the jump from $60 to $90.
Yes.
That's like, put yourself in the shoes of someone starting off their career, right? Like, and I realize that nobody's making, very few people are making like super minimum wage right now, but like, let's just say you're making $10 an hour, right? It's going to take you 2 days of work to buy that if you're a kid, right? And whatever it is, you do what you want with your money. I think more most of the time with Nintendo stuff, parents are picking that up. But I don't know, man. I think the sticker shock is real, and I mean it is for me right now. Just thinking about I gotta buy these fucking games. By the time it's all done, it's gonna be $100 a game after taxes. Yeah. Mystery says they have some of those physical copies that are digital download, i.e. the physical copy of Fortnite for Nintendo. Those games have a warning on the front cover.
Okay, as long as they have like some type of label that the consumer is not hoodwinked,
Norm, good to see you, man. It says in the paraphrased words of Obi-Wan, the price of games should go down, not up.
We should be going up, not down.
Ian says the weirdest thing about the physical cartridge is that only a license check is that it suggests the physical release isn't that much more of a cost burden to them. So why just do a physical release? Right. Thanks, Ian. Appreciate that. Amazing. Nathaniel says, in the 90s, games cost $90+. Final Fantasy III was $80. Not saying I like it, but people upset about this clearly aren't old enough to remember when games cost this much. And that was before modern inflation. Nathaniel, I'm one of those guys. I get it. I understand what you're saying. Games in the 90s, they cost anywhere between $30 and $80, right? So some games closer to 90, right? I remember vividly. We talked about it briefly. Once again, you saw a variety of prices back then. I think it for me, it's just going to come down to sticker shock, and I do think that it'll affect initial sales. I really do. Not a lot. I still think the Switch 2 is going to kill because it's Nintendo. But here's the other thing: is I try to look at this from a normie perspective, right? You have a parent who has a Switch, okay? That Switch plays all the games that you already own, okay? Then Nintendo says, you have a Switch 2. And by the way, that Switch 2 can still play all the other games you already own, right? Now, the Switch games are between $40 and $60. The Switch 2 games are between $70 and $90. But the Switch 2 can play all the games on my Switch. So as a parent, I'm going to look at that and go like, I'm just going to hold on to my Switch, like that's probably what's going to happen. I think you're going to see a lot of people do the value proposition thing. The normie who allows Nintendo to kind of take that big jump. So we'll see, I don't know. Mally, do you got anything on that as far as that perspective?
Well, yeah, I very much just agree with like the parent perspective on that, because like I remember when I was a kid asking for my parents to buy these games and I could hardly justify it at the price points that they did used to be at. And my dad was a gamer with me. He was the one that would take me to GameStop and go get our new games. And even he would look at these and be like, yeah, we're not doing that. I don't know that I, with my own money nowadays, can even look at this and be like, is that worth it? You want me to spend $450 to get your new system that can do everything my old system can do? And the only thing that they are using to carry their new system is Mario Kart World? Yeah, I've played Mario Kart. It looks cool, but I'll wait.
Well, let's get to some of those games.
Before we do, to answer Mally's question before, I looked it up. Mario Kart World will not work on Nintendo Switch 1 because of specs and hardware. And I also have a question about the GameCube stuff. Are they going to have like third-party GameCube stuff available? Because that would be really cool, I think.
Soul Calibur is a third-party game.
Yeah, but like all of them or just specific ones?
I would imagine it'll be just like the Super
really
Nintendo
popular
and the other ones. Yeah, there are a ton of, they have partnerships with third parties. There's some Konami games, there's some Tecmo games, there's some whatever games, and I think you'll see the occasional third party game. A lot of them will be first party for the GameCube. Give it up for Evan Fire, who became a brand new Plus member. Let's stink and go. Appreciate you, Evan. That is spectacular. Once again, I would love for you guys to open up a tab right now. Head over to Side Scrollers Plus and use promo code April. Get a big old discount on your annual membership over there. You support us, support the show, support Blabs Versus, support Nerd Duel, which premieres tomorrow because it is premiere week here on Side Scrollers, which is outstanding. So thank you guys. Speaking of supports, we did hit our first Montez goal right off the bat. We're going to go for 3 Montez today. I can just feel it. We're going for triple Montez. Mally, you get to pick the first Montez of the day. We have Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter 2, The Moon, Dustborn, Super Mario, Duck Hunt, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, or Tetris. What would you like, Mally?
Well, I think we'll stay on brand and do Super Mario. Sounds
good. I like where you're thinking there.
Bitch!
Keeping it on brand. There we go. Yay. All right. Guys, thank you. I did set up a new Montez goal. Now 15 yellows. We can get to Montez numero dos. Kratos says, I think $80 with the ability to share it with your family and friends with the game share feature is worth it. Then you only need 1 copy for 4 people, I think. Toss this in your Montez pile. That is something that we didn't talk about, is the game share feature, where if you have 1 game and you essentially can, if someone in your friends and family on the Nintendo Switch Online group if they have a Switch, you just need one copy of it. So that is a valuable aspect of it.
Yeah, but it's only for 2 weeks at a time.
It is, yeah, but
So
maybe
even if you
share it again.
for a little bit longer, no, you can't. It's just 2 weeks.
But speaking of, I wonder once that 2 week period is over, does it erase the data?
Well, that's what I'm curious about. Like, what happens if you don't finish that game in 2 weeks for whatever reason, and it automatically goes back because it's automatic? And then can you share it again? And like, does it save your data? How does that work? And I don't think they've ever said.
Miku says Sony E3 2006, Microsoft E3 2013, Nintendo Direct 2025. Yeah, E3 2006 for Sony was a disaster. Microsoft E3 2013 was a disaster. I'm not ready to say this is a disaster for Nintendo, but I do think it's interesting. Maybe those comparisons are going to be there. Super Joe's Midlife Crisis says people pay $10 for 12 eggs last month. Are paying $15 for a single combo fast food meal. $1 is simply worth less now. It's just the reality. Weiss Max says, I'm fine with Mario Kart World being $80 because it'll be larger than other Mario Kart games. World has an open world to drive in, like Forza Horizon, while other Mario Kart games only have tracks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Norm says, I was hoping to see more games, see more new games rather than ports. We're going to get to those in just a second. Marmalin says, sailing the high seas and sticking with my Steam Deck over Switch 2 after the pricing point. Edging out physical is really bad. Thanks, Marmalin. Daily Double says, last game I purchased was web fishing. It was $5.99, and I've got much more enjoyment than most of the other games. Never paying $80 for a game, even if it's from Nintendo. That last statement, Daily Double, he says, even if it's from Nintendo. I think that says something about Nintendo's perceived quality. I mean, obviously they have a lot of quality, and people say, I would never pay that much, even if it's from Nintendo. Like, I don't think you'd ever say that even if it's from Sony, even if it's from Microsoft. I think Nintendo's the only company that you get from that. Maybe Rockstar with GTA, where you go, I'm not paying $100 for GTA, even if it's from Rockstar. But it's a little interesting thing there. The Real Howitzer says, why Pawtucket, Rhode Island? I hate it there, and the speed cameras are awful. Also, if gaming companies stop wasting money on DEI, they could charge less. It was the first city that came to mind. Sorry, Real Howitzer. Kratos says, I Googled the average AAA game size, and it's 50 to 150 gigabytes. Even PS5 discs can hold up to 100 gigs. Not to mention, I can't think of a game that doesn't require updates. God of War Ragnarok is 190 gigabytes. Wow, that's crazy. Marmalin with the 10 says, I make more than enough to afford this shit, but I refuse to pay that price since it isn't justified with how massive the market is. Jacob says, I think this is more indictment on the industry itself. Capcom made Resident Evil $80 and said they wanted 100 because of cost of development. There needs to be a crash now. Whew, man. JC's back says, do you know what 1 terabyte of storage costs? Games would be $200. Yeah, dude, I get it, right? I totally get it. And once again, those games back in the 90s that were more, they cost more as well. So there's definitely a cost correlation between the size of the game there. So Kratos says, no, game share is different. It was just announced today, slightly different from the digital cart borrowing era. All right. Thank you for that. And Zim, holy shit, for 50 says, I'm going to get the Super Switch, but I'm more than likely not getting expansion packs for games I already own, as they come with a feature I don't care about. Not really happy about physical versions. They are 100% sandbagging the power this thing has just to push physical, and there's no good reason for it. GameCube expansion will be enough to bring me back to Nintendo Online. I'll be buying this mainly for my own enjoyment, not to play with others. Bloatware features for me, though. Zem, thank you so much for the massive $50 support. That's spectacular. Yes. All right. Let's get to some of these games. And once again, we do see all your super chats. We'll get to every single one, every Rumble rant, every direct donation. Love it. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. A lot of interesting thoughts on this. Speaking of those expansions, Mario Party Jamboree is a game that was released on the Switch, and now they're going to have a Nintendo Switch 2 edition for this game. Mario Party, always fun. I'm not going to have the gameplay any audio going for this, just for copyright reasons, but they've incorporated in a new, speaking of the cameras, you can see the cameras being used for the players here, using the mouse. It's like an expansion of Mario Party Jamboree, where you can plug in your players and stuff. How many, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, how many naked people will be popping out of pipes?
Dude, every girl on the main page of Twitch, I'll tell you that.
Just going to be popping out there, yeah? Labs,
Mhm.
you think that's gonna be a thing?
I mean, think about how many people do the photo ops at Universal Studios, where they spend like an hour waiting in line just to do this little pop-up photo op for their Instagrams. Imagine what they're gonna do for the video games.
Yeah.
But 10% naked, you think? 10% people playing that?
That's
will be
what
naked?
listen. The camera's right there. I really am curious to see how Nintendo's gonna handle the e-thoughts.
Oh yeah. Thought Mario Party Jamboree will be a thing.
Can you imagine all these like really intelligent Japanese men sitting down at a round table and going, "All right, the e-thoughts, how do we combat them?" It's like they're just scheming how to prevent all their malware from being infected by whores. It's funny.
Oh man, I'm just imagining.
So how much is this going to cost me?
Can you imagine? Well, can you imagine the jiggle physics on this right here?
Oh my gosh.
How much is Mario Party?
Because there's no way you just get that.
No. There's definitely that's the thing is you have these games and they're making you pay for the updates to them. Blabs, see if you can find the cost for Mario Party Jamboree. It should be on their website.
Because I have Mario Party Jamboree, and if it's backwards compatible, then it should be able to play it. But obviously, I don't get this version.
Hey, look, you can push down your safety.
Yeah, because I don't get to do that enough in real life.
Hey, all right. So there we go. Looking for that for Mario Party Jamboree, Nintendo Switch 2 edition plus Jamboree TV. We also have.
It seems like they made a step back towards the Wii. How the Wii had so much more motion interactive games and the visuals and the mic and all that. The very physically interactive. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's definitely a novelty for sure.
Yeah.
But I think Mario Party as a whole, there's a lot of novelty built into Mario Party. You know, whether it's screaming in the mic or moving your hands around, waggling around. Mario Party in its purest form was like Mario Party 1, 2, and 3. But where you just played the controller, but now they have all the little novelties attached to it.
So they don't have the price listed yet. It says to BA on IGN, and I just sent you a whole thing in the private chat. It's got all the prices for everything. If it says TBA or not, might be helpful.
wow.
Okay. We'll look at that.
Most of the stuff is TBA, to be honest. Prices.
Okay. Well, yeah, I do see that. Pretty much.
Jeez,
pretty much everything TBA. When you look at the games released right here, this is the list you just sent me. Pretty much the only thing with the game is within price is Mario Kart World here. I
feel like this will be updated in the next couple of days to weeks.
Oh, sure, certainly. So pretty much nothing has a price attached to it. So will third parties follow the pricing structure of $79.99? So where did we get the $90 thing come? Vera, if you're in the chat, where did the $90 come from? Because
I've seen that floating around too, but I haven't seen anything official.
Okay. This is official though. Enhanced versions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom launching for Nintendo Switch 2. So the one thing I saw from this trailer when they showed it was you can now create things in Tears of the Kingdom. There's a crafting element in Tears of the Kingdom where you can go in, create your different items or vehicles or whatever. Now you're going to be able to take a QR code and bring that over to another, like send it to your friend. So it's kind of like having an amiibo, but if your friend makes an awesome rocket ship, he can actually share it in your game too. So it's pretty neat, I guess. I can only imagine the amount of dicks that are going to be all throughout Zelda Tears of the Kingdom from here. And speaking of those upgrades for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are going to be free for Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack.
Joy.
So yes, so that's cool, I guess. They showed off Metroid Prime 4, and it'll have optical mouse controls, which so you can kind of play it like you're playing a PC game almost. So I'm sure that'll help with the speedrunning community a little bit. It'll have enhanced graphics because it's also going to be on the Switch and Switch 2. So you get a better version on the Switch 2. They announced an enhanced version of Pokemon Legends Z through A, or ZA. So there's that for those of you who really want enhanced versions of graphic like that. I guess that's fine. And then they announced this Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which this is when they showed this off, and this is the story leading into Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and it's all about. It's one of those kind of boss rush games. God, I forgot what this is originally called. They've released several of these over the last few years, where it's a Zelda game. God, what am I helping with? What game is this? It used to be on the PlayStation.
They're saying Dynasty Warriors.
Yes, Dynasty Warriors. Yes, that's it. It's a Dynasty Warriors Zelda game. So that's why it's Hyrule Warriors. So yeah, thank you, chat. Appreciate that. You guys are always the next chair on the show. They announced some other things. I'll tell you what, they announced NBA 2K, Borderlands, Cyberpunk Ultimate Edition. Let me see. Can we talk about Randy Pitchford for a second? Randy Pitchford from Borderlands and Gearbox. I think he's going through a stage right now. Let's just be real. Like, look at this dude. just I don't know, Blabs. First impression of Randy Pitchford here.
Little soy.
He is very going through his like queer eye for the straight guy face,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely feels like he got a makeover right before he's trying to hide his age.
Straight out of San Francisco.
Well, no, he's actually out of Dallas, but
Oh,
yes.
that's unfortunate.
I know. Ugh. So there's that. There's that. Let's get to a few more games, but before we do, I want to point out we had another new Plus member. Give it up for Seos. Let's go. Thank you so much for that Plus membership. Let's go. You guys head over to the site scrollers Plus, use promo code April, get that sweet annual discount. Wise Max says the 2-week thing is for digital games. Game Share allows you to share supported Nintendo Switch 2 games locally to other consoles, both Switch 1 and 2. It has to be supported, though. Thanks, Wiseman. Appreciate that. Dan says, well, no matter what the price is for Switch 2 console, I'll still buy it. But yeah, Mario Kart World will be the first game I'll be playing the most. My biggest worry is the upgrade packs for some of the previous games. Yeah. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that. Goosium says, you're right, Craig. Nintendo has a tight grip on their audience. Let's not forget people used to buy Nintendo branded cardboard. That is true. I was one of them. I admit, I bought the Labo. Shame on me. This was interesting, though. They announced, this was the second to last game that they announced. A game from Software. They announced that Elder Rings was going to be on. I think that was the first game that they announced for Nintendo Switch 2. But they also announced a new game called Duskbloods, which was a brand new game from Software, which looks like a From Software game. And I don't really know a whole lot about what's going on in here outside of the weird flying guy. But it looks like there's some sort of combat elements to it, maybe some sort of stalker open world battle royale, perhaps. I don't know. People are saying Bloodborne 2. But yeah, this is a multiplayer game, as pointed out by Nuttius in the chat. Looks like a multiplayer game. But not a whole lot is known about this outside of that it will be a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive, which is kind of like really intriguing that they got From Software to make a Switch 2 exclusive. Yeah. And I think this will be a system seller because just like Nintendo has their audience's nuts in a vice, so does From Software. From Software audience travels. Now, will they travel to a console like the Switch 2? I don't know, but we'll see. So, but the Duskbloods is what it's called, and we're going to learn more about that very, very soon. And there's a winged rat for you, for everybody right there. Yeah, we didn't get any gameplay of that though, unfortunately. So, Are you ever played Elden Ring or any of the Souls games, Mally?
No, but it definitely reminded me of that. I'm just surprised that a game that's that like heavy is gonna be a Switch exclusive.
Yeah, it's not exactly on brand for Nintendo to have a game that feels so gothic and death and not so cartoony. So yeah. Well, that was definitely a lot of people talking about that game as we
I can see
started.
why.
Yeah. Guys, do us a favor, hit the thumbs up button if you guys are tuning in. Really appreciate it. We are a few short of 1,000. If like half of you guys right now hit the thumbs up button, we'd really appreciate that. Just scroll your little mouse over there, hit that thumbs up button. Or thumb up on your phone or your iPad, wherever you're watching. All right. So then Nintendo, after they announced the previous game, they finished with 2 first-party games, a brand new title directed by Masahiro Sakurai. Now, Sakurai is the, if memory serves me correct, this is the guy. Yes, it is. It is the guy behind Smash Brothers. Now, he's had a YouTube channel the last few years, and there was a lot of talk about him like retiring from video games for a while. He's the guy behind Smash Brothers and Kid Icarus Uprising and Kirby. And that is what we got here. Kirby Air Riders, which was I actually never played the first Kirby Air Ride game, but I thought this was a really weird choice to finish with, considering, to almost finish with, considering they opened with a game about more or less riding carts as well. This is Kirby Air Riders, and people were like really excited about this. But I just thought it was kind of odd to bookend your presentation with more or less 2 like cart games, I guess. Maybe I'm I don't know. Dorpheus
seems a little repetitive.
Dorpheus says Kirby Air Ride was one of the best games ever made. I've never played it before.
Damn.
So I guess I need to
It's
check
high
it
praise.
out. Yeah. So but I feel bad for saying that. I've never didn't even know it existed before today, but apparently people are like really, really excited about that. Ian came in, says Pitchford's jacket looks like a tablecloth from a Chinese restaurant. I love it. It's funny. Dick around Brown says it's going to be huge. Well, we'll see. Speaking of a game that I think will be huge, they finished out this show talking about Donkey Kong Bonanza. Now, I do want to watch this entire trailer here. This is cool. It's cool to see. I do have some critiques. We knew they were going to redesign Donkey Kong. It just looks really fucking weird. So here's the trailer for Donkey Kong Bonanza. Before we show this to you, Mally, have you seen Donkey Kong's redesign?
Oh.
Okay. Initial thoughts. Does he look different to you at all, or?
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but not like hugely different. Not like annoyingly different.
It looks like the DK in the movie.
Yeah, that's the first time they used it was DK in the movie. That's when they officially redesigned.
Okay, that's who it looks like. Yeah, okay. Oh, he has pants. That I didn't notice.
Yeah, we got pants. Let's go.
All right.
They probably didn't want to spend the extra mile making a butthole.
Let's always come back to butt Blabs.
What do you mean?
Kind of looks cool.
Yeah, I think this looks very cool. It looks like Mario Odyssey with Donkey Kong and destructible environment.
No, that looks fun.
It's a very Nintendo, like the color palette, bright, colorful, vibrant colors. When I first saw this, I thought it was very much like Odyssey.
You're underwater.
Okay. Sorry. They do have some side-scrolling elements, which will be fun. So that's cool.
Okay, I take that one.
Yeah, it looks pretty fun. I mean, it's the first, as mentioned in the chat previously, it's the first 3D Donkey Kong game in 25 years. You know, which goes back to the N64, DK64, which was like a giant collectathon. I'm sure there's gonna be all sorts of collecting here. I see the chat asking like, "Where's Diddy?" Right, and we don't know. Maybe Diddy will be a side character in this, but yeah, Diddy Kong not mentioned at all in it. I'm sure there'll be cameo characters or maybe skins or something. Maybe you unlock Diddy, or maybe you need to save Diddy. Who knows? But I don't know. I thought the presentation as a whole was really strong. Mally, what are your thoughts after seeing everything that was announced today?
I like it. I do, but I'm not in love with it. I don't think it sold me enough to be willing to spend nearly $500. Like, that's the cost of my PlayStation. My PlayStation can play heavier shit for a lot longer than the Switch can. And quite frankly, I don't really care that I can port it around. You know, maybe as an 8-year-old I would have cared, but as somebody who's a streamer, I'm always with my setup. So none of these features appeal to me. The camera and the mic, for me, they just seem like kind of like they're just trying to revive the Xbox Connect days, or like the Wii days when the Wii U and all that, when they had that. It's cool. Maybe the kids of this generation will get that. I don't really, and I feel like I'm fine with my OG Switch.
Yeah, and I wonder how, like I said, it goes back to parents. Parents will be the ones that buy this, right? The Nintendo Switch is not for, and this is going to sound silly, super silly. The Nintendo Switch is not for, Nintendo products are not for quote unquote hardcore gamers, right? It's for a much more casual audience. That's why they sell like they do. That's why the Switch is going to be the #1 selling console of all time, right? By the time it's all said and done. There are hardcore games on the Switch, but I don't think that the hardcore audience, you know, is totally into it. So I don't know. Fox Lou says, I wouldn't even call him tourist. I don't know. Like I said, I think that there are the Switch works based off of, will parents buy it or not? I don't know, just my thoughts. So Ian says he got his trousers from Randy Pitchford. Let's go. Is that a bad take? Potentially. Too High says Diddy's in jail. Is that true? Okay. I don't think that's right. Did he do it? That's funny. All right, let's get to some of the reaction that we've seen on the internet from the sphere. Mark the Cyborg came in with this thought. He said, Switch 2 good. Talked about the screen, the Pro Controller, the From Software game, backwards compatibility with performance upgrades, the mouse, bad. Backwards compatibility, the upgrades are paid. The new external storage format requiring you to buy the new SD card. At least it's not proprietary, which, yes, that is a good thing. GameCube, as well as all prior Nintendo console games, are still subscribed to play and not purchasable outright. This is interesting here because there is a groundswell of support for something like they had on the Wii for the where you could just buy the games individually instead of just having to buy, having to have a subscription from them. So here, this is interesting from Mark. The new From Software game is exclusive. That's a bad thing, right? That's the point. That's the point. They want you to buy their console, so you have to play it right there. And he mentioned the price down there. So Brandon from Ripperverse says, can't wait to put the Switch 2 on layaway at Kmart. He's going to be picking it up. This is from, oh no, it's Alex, talking about the response to the upgrades for free. Let's see what see the Asmongold reaction here.
You already do give them the money. You already give them the money twice. And they're saying, I'm going to fucking get you to pay for your own money. You got to pay for your own money.
Not wrong.
I mean, honestly, I feel the stress. I do.
Yeah. Whole digital games are now $80. Ooh. And then we have this as well, as charging people for better resolutions and frame rates in games they already should own should be a fucking crime.
Mm-hmm.
Epic Mike says, while I hate Duskbloods being exclusive to Nintendo, I'm always here for Sony taking the L's. That's rough. Sorry, Mike. Wicked Virtue says, yes, finally a new Donkey Kong game. There we go. Wicked's excited about that. And this is kind of the viral moment of the Mario Kart 8 Mario Kart World trailer, is that you can now play as a cow in the game, which is excited and so exciting. And so is Jay. Jay's happy for that.
Okay, see, that's cool.
Vera, thinking of the Duskbloods here, absolute cinema right there. Loved it. Savvy, loved it. Nintendo fans stay winning there. Right? And this was probably the most important question. We've kind of alluded to this a couple times. It's from GameSack. So will the Kinect for the Switch 2 be smart enough to censor out my nudity? And I mean, there are now keep in mind that I think the way this was presented, and I could be wrong, I believe you can only share cameras with your friends and family that are in your group. So if that's the case, the dongs and the boobies may be brought down dramatically, unless a bunch of thoughts get together and, kind of do, as you mentioned, Mario Party porn edition, right? and
they add everybody on their friend account, right? On their Switch account. And be like, this is my friend code. You can add me. We can all hang out together. Then it's like, ooh, right?
Yeah.
I seriously would have loved to have been a fly on the wall, like I said, and you just listen to all the intelligent Japanese men super serious and go, how do we combat the porn? Like, it's so great.
Like I said, I think, the chat was mentioned that it was definitely, it is definitely only within your friend group that you can share those things. So, so that's good, I suppose. It's just, man, I am cautious with this. I'm very cautious. The price tag worries me. I did not see this. Cabrutus. I just saw this one. You have to pay more for different languages on your Switch? What are we talking about here?
What?
If you look, it says multi-language system. And then the next one says Japanese language system, Japan only.
Wait.
What is happening?
Where's the price for these?
If you click out, I think he has them.
Wait,
it's region locked. Okay, well, I saw it somewhere.
Oh, it says it underneath, like at the top.
Yeah.
It's in a different
currency. It's the currency. Yeah,
there.
Wow. Holy shit.
What happened to the days where we could just go change it whenever the hell we wanted?
Oh my gosh. That's fucked up.
Yeah. I feel like this system is really only going to appeal, like you said, we've said it multiple times, to the people that can afford it. So it's going to be streamers who have a bunch of friends to play with and want those group games. And while I love Nintendo, it's just not worth that price point to me. They're appealing to a specific audience. I mean, I hate to bring it back to Disney, but they also have the sticker shock value. They also are pricing out their fans, and this is what companies seem to be doing to their fans right now.
Man, I am really mixed about this. Like, I'm excited for the games, not excited for the price, Will I buy one? I don't know, which is crazy because I do see a ton of potential with a lot of the games, specifically for some of the things that we're going to be doing throughout the rest of the year, right? I made a video talking about some of the things that we're doing. And as far as we're going to have like these WWE style, like pay-per-view events that are going to be on Plus later this year, right? And I see a ton of potential with some of the games that Nintendo announced today. Mario Kart World, and even the freaking rolling game, right? I see a ton of potential, but God, I just don't know. And I know that my daughters are going to want one because it's new, it's fresh, it's neat. But I don't know if I'm going to do it, man. I don't know. And I know people are talking about like
it's great for group games too, but it's like, yeah, how can you justify that when that could be spent so much else, somewhere else?
Gravel says, what's the take on Razer reminding us $80 NES and Super Nintendo games before price standardization? I said this before. Like, it's not. I was there. I experienced it. I bought the $80 game in 1992, which adjusted for inflation would be $150 a day. I get it, right? My biggest thing is the sticker shock associated with it, because back in that era, you had games that were $15 and you had games that were $90. And the way that you could tell the difference was based off the amount of memory in those games, the quality of those games, right? Like I remember Super Metroid, 32 megabyte game. Holy shit, right? It's going to cost more because you get more. Okay, that's what we're getting here. And then you'd have your $20 or $30 games, which were, your budget bin style bullshit, right? But then occasionally you get some good stuff. But most games were like $40 to $50. We don't have that variety now. Now we do have like the digital games that are like most, you see games that are like $14.99, $20 on Steam, something like that. But you don't have those games for your Switch or your PlayStation or your Xbox that have that. Pretty much for the most part, you have one specifically for like physical games. You have one price, $60. Now $70. So damn. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's not the fact that it's $80 or $90. It's the jump optically from $60 to $90, which I think will affect a lot of people.
Yeah. And I think like you were saying earlier, like, oh, well, games didn't change price for a long time. And like, when was inflation ever going to touch it? Like, people probably would have been more okay with the prices right now. Like you keep saying, sticker shock. Like if they had gradually moved this up, if this is just where we had gotten to over time, I'm sure people would adjust to it. I've been saying that same thing about so many other things that I pay for too. Is like, look, if I wasn't caught off guard in the same annual year, now I'm being forced to pay 30 to 50% more than I did the last time I renewed this. Fuck no, I'm getting out. I'm going to save my money.
Blabs, day one. Or maybe
absolutely not.
Year one.
I've been there for months that I'm not gonna buy one just because I can't justify it, right? So I have my Nintendo Switch. It's about 3 years old. I don't play it nearly enough to warrant an upgrade at all. So unless like it's magically gifted to me in like a year or two when it's on discount, maybe if it's on discount, then no, I don't see myself ever owning this. It's just I can't justify it. It's insane.
Is it the price you can't justify?
Yeah, price is nuts.
Okay.
Like almost $500 for like the Switch and World, which everyone's gonna want Mario Kart World. That's like a huge factor there.
Right.
No. Way
and they could have added
too much.
so many more things to make that price point worth it. I mean, we talked about possibly the Miiverse being brought back. There were so many things that could have made that enticing, and it's like they just didn't.
Chat, what about you? Is this a day one purchase? Are you in it immediately? Are you just have no interest in this? Because this is I'll say this, man. This has been a very interesting thing to kind of see the response to this online. And a lot of it hinges on the price point. Like a lot of it does. A lot of people say, I don't know, and it comes back to that. The $80, man, for a game. I put it about 1,200 people have responded to this poll over on X as what do you think of the Switch 2 announcement? Love it. Like it. Underwhelmed. PC Master Race. Lol. And for the most part, I would say, 60% of folks liked it or loved it. Underwhelmed. I guess, Blabs, you're in the underwhelmed situation.
No, I think it was actually really cool. Like when I was watching it live, I was like, yo, that is actually really cool shit. Like technology is impressive, but that price point, and it was pretty sneaky that they didn't say any pricing until at the very end, and they didn't even have it in the direct. It was like posted, like, here's the pricing. You're like, oh, yeah. But
they got you hyped first. Yeah.
That's how they let you down. Yeah. It's like almost like I'm assuming, guys, you call that blue balls. But somebody in the chat was saying how, like, do you guys not have phones? And it's like, how does that equate? A phone, honestly, at this point, is kind of like a necessity, right? You do everything on your phone, really. It's how you communicate. Like a Switch to me is more of a luxury. It's like it's like a privilege you can have. It's not it's not a necessity for everyday stuff. So no, it's not the same as buying a cell phone in 2025.
No, but I just wanted to add on to that because I was thinking about it from like that parent-kid perspective of like, can we justify it? That's so true though, because for us as adults, our phones are the only thing that we like need, you know, to stay in contact and communicate with the world. But a Switch for a kid, that is pretty open out there. I mean, when I was a kid with my Wii, I could message my friends through that little messenger thing. I had access to the internet on my Wii. So like it's probably the way they access everything. So for kids, it's probably that way. Yeah.
So talking about the price of games, this is, you know, the idea like, and to be clear, I've been in this camp before. The idea of, I said I was there. I experienced the 90s. I experienced the 2000s. I bought the expensive game. Got a couple of these advertisements pulled up to kind of show the example, right? Someone said, well, I saw someone in the chat says there's tons of $30 Switch games, physical Switch games. Okay, cool. Let's talk about that for a second. Here are your games for the Nintendo 64, right? Star Wars, Shadow of the Empire, $70. Okay, this was in 1997. Okay, 1997 catalog from Electronic Boutique. Wave Race, $70. Cruising USA, $59.99. Mario Party, $60. Blast Core, $60, right? So these are all big, major titles ranging between $60 and $70. Blabs, can you do a quick inflation calculator for $69.99 in 1997 compared to 2025, please? And while we do that, I'll pull up this other ad over here. We have this, and notice, this is what I'm talking about with the range of games here. We have Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, $75. Turok, $75. Doom 64, $75. Okay. Mario Kart, $60. We had Twisted Metal 2, $40. NBA Live, $50. NBA Shootout, $40. Soul Blade, $50. So you can see the variety of pricing, and that's what I'm talking about in particular. Laz, what do we have there?
So $69 in the year 1999 is now the equivalent of $131.57 in 2025.
What was it in 1997?
1997. Let's just find out and calculate. Sorry, we can't compute the what? For this price here, please try again later. Huh?
A lot of people go into the inflation calculator right now trying to figure out the price difference between
There we go. Okay, $136.57.
100 what?
136.
Yes. $136.
Yeah.
So, you know, and like I said, I understand that argument. I totally get it. My biggest thing is it's just the sticker shock. It's the sticker shock. Like if I go to the store and I see a list, I see games that range between $40 and $75, right? That's not sticker shock. I see the value, and there's a big range in games here, right? Yeah. Ranging between $40, $50, $60, $70, $75. Mm-hmm. Now games are just, if the rumors of the $90 physical game are true, once again, you're looking at a Switch game here that's $60. You're looking at a Switch 2 game that's $90.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to. It's not even an argument. It's just a concern. Yeah. You know, I think parents will look at it that way. So
it's not a big enough system upgrade. It's not a big enough, shock. It's not enough excitement for the audience. You can't do a price jump like that unless there's a reason. Somebody in the chat just pointed out how from PS1 to PS2, games went up from 50 to 60. Everybody was pretty cool with that. You've advanced the system. You've obviously advanced the games, and it's $10. I can justify that for the system I like, but from Switch 1 to Switch 2, going from 60 to 90 is a different story.
Yeah. John says, just got here. Why is Blabs trying to be gangster?
I'm not trying. I've succeeded. Thank you.
But why are you wearing your hat so thug?
Oh, right, because my hat's too big on me and it's too small on Craig, so I went sideways where it actually fits somewhat better.
Yeah, but what's your hat?
Oh, it's Nintendo. I'm a Nintendo sim today.
There you go. Kratos
I love Nintendo.
I like the upgrade idea. Way better than what Sony and Microsoft do with making you buy an entirely different game that's quote unquote remastered. Graphic sliders are definitely preferred though. That is true. You're not buying the whole new thing. Robot Dews says it does not matter that games used to cost more. The industry standardized price, not the consumer. It's a terrible excuse. It is easier and cheaper to make games now with all the tools available.
That's fair.
Yeah, very fair. Nova Slayer says $450 for a Switch 2 is fine. The first one cost $350 when it came out. The cost will go down over time. The games do cost much more. Anything over $70 is too much. Thank you, Nova Slayer. Kratos came back one more time, says, I'm getting it day one because I still haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom, and I prefer to play it at its best quality. Nintendo's always been honest with only upcharging huge games like Zelda.
So I actually have a question. So you know how like they sometimes do deluxe video games where they have like a collector's edition and all that? I've never really paid attention about Nintendo doing it, but do they do that? And you gotta wonder how expensive these collector editions are gonna be for Switch 2. If they're already like $80, you know, the physical, what the hell is gonna be the price for all these collector ones? It's gonna be huge.
It's a lot, man.
Well, I mean, they used to. The company did. I have collector's edition stuff. That's this whole Epic Mickey shelf up here.
That's
'Cause
right.
I got the collector's edition of Epic Mickey for the Wii back in 2010, 2009, something like that. So they did at one point.
Back down the revenge says, don't you think the price jump is from the tariffs? We mentioned this earlier. No, I don't. Why are the digital games so much more? Tariffs have nothing to do with digital games. Like if you want to keep the digital game at 60 and say, look, tariffs make the game $90 now. Sorry, it is what it is, right? But if you keep the digital game the same price, okay, I get it, right? I get it. But knocking $8 off the price, if your game is $80 and now it's 74 digitally or whatever, it's not enough. I think it has nothing to do with tariffs. I think the tariffs are a very easy scapegoat for a situation like this, but it doesn't make any sense at all. Thank you very much, Demi. Appreciate that. Axel says, awesome show, guys. Getting over a bad breakup, so you guys always give me joy. Oh, Axel, thank you so much. Appreciate that. It's wonderful. Ruddy says, my wife said Kilmer died of handsome disease. Well, we'll get to Val Kilmer in just a second. One time at Bandcamp says, Switch 2 as a mouse. New Mario Paint incoming. I thought they were going to announce it today. I really did. I thought they were going to announce it. Darth Gavel says, rip Val Kilmer. I'm your Huckleberry. Mercenary says, no, just no. I will be happy owning nothing. Mercenary, relax. Eric says, if you're gonna make it that much, you might as well make it station console, because no matter how much they dress it up, the Switch, it is a handheld. Red Dead Sight says, hello, Craig and fellow scrollers. I had an off-topic question to ask you, Craig. What was that coding/hacking course that you were taking? Hail. Yes, that is code. Oh shit! DM me. Send me a message. They were a sponsor and they were awesome. It was really, really cool. Really great product. I'll send you information about it. Alpha says, no one remembers Murder Ball from 2005. Yeah, that with the wheelchairs. Darth Gavel says, a few more years from now, only the upper middle class will be able to afford video games. Bike Short says, so on the Switch 1, we had the ARMS game. Switch 2, we now have legless. Nintendo, bring me my ARMS too. Nate says they've already done the market research. They already know the price hike will work out fine. Yeah, and you're not wrong. They don't just announce these prices without knowing exactly how much they can price it without going over. You know, the idea for these companies is to make as much money as they possibly can, and they will. Coconator says there's no physical with Switch 2. There's no full game on the cart. A code on the card to download. Why would I pay premium for a download code? Well, that's just for some games, Coconator. That was established earlier. Some games run like that. Switch games run from $10 to $70. $10 difference, not $20. Vanish says Nintendo still does tiered pricing. Rest of the industry doesn't. Y'all are stuck on doomerism rather than objectively looking for bad and everything. I don't agree with you at all. I think I'm trying to look at this as objectively as possible. I'm looking at this. This is not a doom and gloom thing at all. This is objectively looking at it as somebody who has a 13-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old daughter, right? And knowing people who have kids who are going to want this. And for me, the only issue with the Switch 2 is the sticker price sticker shock from the games. It's not a doom and gloom thing. It's a realistic look at how the consumer, the parent, the person who buys these games will objectively look at this. If they can play all the games on the console and it's cheaper, they're going to stick with that one. End of story. It's the truth of it. So Gravwell says, I think the biggest problem here is that we were promised that digital games would be cheaper. Instead, we're getting the digital games raised to physical prices and physical getting raised further. Lexicon Hellbound says the pricing is BS. Tech is inherently disinflationary. For example, you can buy a TV today for less than you could back in the day with better picture, bigger pictures, features, etc. Yeah, I agree with you. Tech gets cheaper over time. Yeah. William says growing up with these big releases were more spread out, so the cost was easier to digest. Today, everything over a week is new. AAA game, they want $70, $80, $90+. Yeah. Lexicon just came back, says same with audio. A stereo system in the 70s or 80s to the similar tech sound quality today. Yes, tech is cheaper than it was yesterday. Tech was cheaper than it was 10 years ago. Tech is infinitely cheaper than it was 20 years ago and 30 years ago. Like you go back and you look at some of these computers from the 80s and 90s, they would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they were a fraction of power, a fraction as powerful as your iPhone is today. You know. All right. I want to hit. We're going to get to all your super chats. Lots of talks about that. You guys have a lot of input on this, and we appreciate that. We are 2 supers away from our next Montez. I didn't want to get this story in though before, because we've been talking about the Switch for 90+ minutes now, and I feel like we can go a lot longer, but I don't want to keep Mally. I did want to get your thoughts on Val Kilmer passing away. Mally, did you see the news that Val Kilmer passed away, unfortunately, at the age of 65? Obviously huge in the 80s and 90s. Mentioned Top Gun, Batman Forever. Rough stuff. He passed away from pneumonia. So Kilmer died of pneumonia on Tuesday in Los Angeles. His daughter Mercedes told U.S. media. She said her father had been diagnosed with throat cancer in 2014, but later recovered. Tracheotomy surgery affected his voice and curtailed his acting career, but he returned to the screen to reprise his role as fighter pilot Iceman alongside Tom Cruise in 2022's Top Gun Maverick, which was awesome, and they addressed it. Oh man, Maverick was great. Any thoughts on Val Kilmer passing?
Just the loss of somebody great. Somebody in the chat said it earlier that on April 1st is a way to go for someone like him. It's like there's just certain times where it's like, okay, you know, and I just hope that it was peaceful. At least pneumonia is not an easy way.
Blabs, you got any Val Kilmer memories or thoughts?
I mean, I don't really remember watching a whole lot of his movies when I was a kid, because I was a kid, but I did recently watch Top Gun, the second one, and it was kind of sad seeing him in this condition. So as long as he went like peacefully, that's like all we can really hope for. But he contributed a lot to Hollywood, and he was one of the good ones, I think.
Do you know what his best movie was that nobody talks about? MacGruber. MacGruber, where he played Kunt. he was such a good bad guy in that. Oh my God, I loved. Have you ever seen MacGruber before, Mally? Do you know MacGruber?
No.
MacGruber was a Saturday Night Live skit. So good.
Happiest man on the face of the earth.
Yes. I poured Casey's Ghost last night. We can talk about that later. All right, we got a new.
Anyways, that's MacGruber. It's really funny. It's a takeoff of MacGyver, and it's so freaking funny.
3 minutes, MacGruber.
Let's move.
Anyways, he plays a bad guy, and he actually gets his dick shut off.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Oh wow.
Pretty great. So good. And then at the end, he gets killed by MacGruber, and he gets hit by a bazooka, and then MacGruber stands on the edge of the cliff and pisses on his dead body, which is wonderful. So, so good.
Right.
You should check it out. Gravwell says this is made worse by the fact that the physical carts don't even store the full game, so you're paying an inflated physical price for half digital game. Matt Hatter says, I don't care how long the price has stayed the same. I don't care what things cost adjusted for inflation. My salary hasn't been adjusted for inflation. $450. the monthly payment for a truck. They missed with this price.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Matt Hatter. There you go. I think a lot of people are going to reflect that. I really do. Marius says, rest easy, Matt Mardigan. Yes. We have hit our next Montez goal, Mally. Which Montez would you like? Would you like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, The Moon, Dustborn, Duck Hunt, or Mike Tyson, or Tetris?
Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt it is. All right.
Yay.
One last Montez goal. We're going to go rapid fire. Everything over 5 goes to the Montez goal right there. We'll finish up with an hour of power there at the end. Kratos says, Craig, what if $60 is still the baseline and games like Zelda and Mario Kart at 70 to 80 are the outliers? And Mario Kart World kind of looks like Nintendo's watered down version of GTA. Might be huge. I mean, yeah, I get it. You know, there certainly would be outliers, but we don't have any proof of that so far, Kratos. So we'll kind of see what that looks like, you know, as we get more information about that. Because that's the other thing, is that they have announced more Nintendo Directs coming very, very soon. They got another Nintendo
April
Direct
17th.
coming in April. What's that, Blabs?
April 17th.
You are coming through on a different mic. There we go. We got that right here. And that'll be about Mario Kart World Direct. So we're going to learn all about that. So
And yeah,
I guess,
April 17th. Just shout out StreamYards.
yeah. So I guess we'll kind of see what happens with that. And I think we'll learn a lot on April 17th. So that's 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks in a day. If $80, we'll be able to justify the price. I think after that, where they sit down and they kind of lay it all out, they give you the value proposition for why the game is $80, and they say, this is what you get, this is what you get, this is what you get. I think people will look at it and be like, oh, okay, or oh no, they ain't worth it, you know. And that'll be the big selling point is April 17th, 2025. Coakley says, and I'm sorry, but your name Coakley 4 says, do you think that the overpricing of the games has something to do with how bad other gaming consoles have done this past generation while Nintendo maintains a decent edge? I wouldn't even say a decent edge. I would say a major edge. You know, and Switch is going to be the biggest console ever by the time it's all said and done. And by the way, like going back to that point, the idea that the Switch is like 10,000 units like behind the PlayStation, or 10 million units behind the PlayStation 2. This will cause the Switch 1 to sell like crazy, because you're going to see a Switch 2 over here, and you're going to see a Switch 1 over here, and the Switch 1 is half the price, and it plays a lot of the same games, you know. I think the Switch is going to see another resurgence in sales for sure. But do I think that the overpricing of games has something to do with how bad other gaming consoles? No, I don't. I think it's just kind of, they use inflation as a crutch. Give it up for Scotty C, who is a brand new Plus member. Let's go, Scotty. Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you, as always. Use promo code April and join us over at Plus. I think we're going to do a post show today, which is good. We'll do that here in just a little bit. We got to get through these super chats here. Joey says Val Kilmer was an amazing actor, was amazing in The Prince of Egypt, voicing Moses. He was also a lot of fun to watch as Batman in Batman Forever. I saw this and I was like, wow, that's massive. But Luigi came in with 1. I thought he came in with $450. I was like, what? So it says $450 is $50 more than the base monthly salary in my country. Well, damn, Luigi. What country do you live in, my friend? Hopefully that improves. Dan says, it's sad, Val Kilmer. If you want to know about the man himself, go watch the documentary film on Prime called Val. Is well done. One of the greatest last roles he played was in Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, stud. Zim says, if Mario Kart World is as big as 8 Deluxe after the expansion pack, then it would be justified, in my opinion. Luffy came in and says, with all these sneaky features and $90 Nintendo Switch 2 games, I'm thinking of waiting for the PlayStation 6, which is just around the corner, or sail the 7 seas on PC. We also lost Bruce Glover yesterday as well. Thanks, Mercenary. Appreciate that. All right, we're going to hit the rest of these supers. We do have a few more topics, but Mally, I'm going to give you the chance to bounce I know today was kind of an odd show, just talking about the Switch 2 in its entirety. You got any closing thoughts on the Switch 2 or anything like that, or anything we talked about today before we let you go?
Yeah, just kind of what we were saying of like, I don't think I'm going to be getting it, at least not yet. I'm going to wait and see what else comes out with it, how far the price goes down and whatnot. If there's families or streamers out there that want to get this, I get it. I'm glad you have the money to do that. But for everybody else, I don't know. I think it might be a little bit of a waste, and maybe you should just hold off and wait, just like any other, thing out there. It will be there. Okay, you will find it later. So that's it.
You're muted, but first of all, when
You are
did you
muted.
change me to Blabs VI, Craig?
That was like an hour ago.
I just noticed it now. I was like, hang on a second.
Marion in the chat says, Craig, are you still doing any gaming streams? Well, I'm glad you asked, because coming up on April 10th, I'll be streaming exclusively to Plus Sex with Hitler, the Star Steam game, which thanks to our Plus membership pushed me to do. So once again, become a Plus member and join me for that exclusive Sex with Hitler stream, April 10th.
Did you spend money on that?
No,
No.
Yellow Flash
Okay.
did it to us.
I was like, did you purchase this game?
No, I did not.
Oh my gosh.
So that was nice. That's good. No. All right, Mally, tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
If you guys want to see more of me, I will be live in actually just an hour playing brand new Split Fiction with my fiance. So if you want to go on over to Rumble or Twitch, you can go on over to see that. If you want to see more of my passive content, I'm on X, Instagram, Locals, Rumble, everywhere. Just go look up my link tree. You'll see it.
All right, there you go. Mally, thanks for hanging out with us today. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All
we
right.
will do Popcorn Bucket next time. I'm sorry.
We'll
we
do
didn't it
Popcorn Bucket
today.
next time. Yeah. All right.
Suck, Craig.
Bye.
Bye,
see ya.
Mally.
Bye-bye. All right, let's get to these supers. And then during the post show, I want you guys to call in. When we get over to Plus, I want to hear your thoughts on this. And I want your raw, unfiltered thoughts on the Switch 2. That's all we're talking about today. I want to get, be as raw as you want to be. Go fire away, Blabs. What do we got from Haggy?
Okay. Haggy says games cost $60 25 years ago. $80 in 2025 is fine. Debatable. Maine says Steam Deck is the same price as a Switch 2 with no online sub. Valve for the win. I don't know. Did we get this one already from Alabaster, or did it not clear out? It says Nintendo bro stay winning, to quote Reggie Fils and me. My body is ready also.
He's in there, yeah. We're
Yeah,
hitting
okay.
Nathan right here.
I love StreamYards lately. Nathan says I got we got that one. Did we get this one too?
Nope.
Okay, I got Final Fantasy VI for $89.99 day one in '94. I'm sure you had really fun with Final Fantasy VI. Takers is a $60 Nintendo 64 game purchase in 1996 was cost $122 today. Game prices today are actually pretty reasonable now.
Like
I
I said before, I don't disagree with you. It's just the optics of going from $60 to $90. That's all.
I also can argue, I know there's a lot of games that were released back in the day that were like basically unfinished or unplayable, but all these bugs in day one, like patches and stuff, I don't really think they're worth the price point. Nikki Felty says, Nintendo Switch does your memory card. I have a 1 terabyte SD card for my Nintendo Switch. I don't know what you just asked me, Nikki, but thank you. Mercenary says, Nintendo always leaves me with mixed feelings. Reese says, with the Switch 2 games possibly going up $80, GTA 6 going triple digits, I wouldn't be surprised if angry parents just shove my little 8-year-old Timmy out the door and say, get a job! Damn it, Timmy, go pay your taxes. Luigi says, what makes the Nintendo Direct not so good is not what happened during the event, but what happened afterwards. The fucking prices. Yeah, that was my thing too. Like, it sounded really, really cool. Like, I'm not against the Nintendo Switch at all, but the prices are, I can't. It's not reasonable for me. Demi says, consumer advocacy is one thing so many companies don't want to listen to, and they will pay for it. McDonald's combos cost more than Five Guys where I'm at. Thank you. Carl says the Direct was incredible so much I might buy a PlayStation Switch 2 as a non-Nintendo fan. However, that price for games turns me up and makes me very hesitant to buy. Mercenary also said, I was a kid in the 80s and 90s. I never saw a game from Nintendo above $59.99 ever outside of Earthbound. Who is seeing these pieces? What are these prices?
They were there. I promise you that.
Did they address the Joy-Con drift? I don't think they did.
No.
Wist says Nintendo probably just heard all the journals glazing the idea of GTA at $100 base. Cassius says, as the new system specs will increase the loading times for Switch 1 games, then it's worth it. The loading times makes it hard to play some games. Mercenary says, Switch 2 is giving me bad Wii U vibes.
It's not there. No, I don't think that's the case.
Abdulio.
The Switch 2 was confusing. I'm sorry, the Wii U was confusing. The Switch 2 is not.
Abdulio says, sharing creations in Zelda TOK, something emulators did first. There's a website where the blueprints are shared for download on Yuzu Ryujinx. Thank you. Jorge, or George, I'm not sure. If the games are doing the DRM thing like Xbox One did, remember what happened when they did that. Craig says physical, but as a normie, this reeks. Gear says Montez 50%. When I calculate the prices, it was actually 75% more expensive than Steam Deck OLED, 125% more than standard deck. Waited 4 years for this. JC says, with the camera being back, I'm hoping for a new U-star. Miss getting drunk and doing filthy takes on movies with friends. Mercenary says, I'll never forgive Seth Rogen for this redesign. Dan says, yeah, then out of nowhere, everybody on eBay is buying the first Kirby Air Ride. Has gone up like crazy, around $90 to $100.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm nuts.
Gusium says, they gave Donkey a bean mouth design. Mark of Reality says, waiting for Blue Hair Mafia to regulate. Nint. Mercenary says, oh no, I haven't poured Switch games. Can they work? For what? Dave says, Craig, of course you will buy it. It is a tax write-off for you, aka side scrollers. Taker says, there were rumors years ago that Mario Odyssey team was working on a Donkey Kong game. Now we know the rumors were legit, but where is Mario? Torger the White says, there are tons of $30 physicals for Switch. JJ says, new Super Smash Bros, then maybe I'll buy Switch 2. Taker says, the funniest thing is a Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour game that Nintendo's charging for. I'd figured it'd be an Astro Boy-like pack-in.
Yeah, you know, that's actually something we didn't even discuss is the welcome game that they referenced that you have to pay for it. Like I go back to the Wii. Like Wii Sports was essentially a tech demo. That's what they're offering here was like, this is what the Switch 2 does. But in order for you to know what the Switch 2 does, you have to pay for it. I don't understand how they're charging for that.
Also, Dark Rock Man has become a Plus member. Thank you very much. Okay, we hate being those guys, but remember, day one purchases are worth it to have the most exploitable version of the system. Long live Homebrew. Thank you very much. Luigi says, I have a PC. I'm playing Nintendo Switch 2 enhanced games right now, if you know what I mean. We do. Saint says, there are two Switch 2s, a Japanese only and the region free. Japan is cheaper, but is only in Japanese language. Yes. Mongoose says, I just messaged my wife telling her I'm going to get a Switch 2, and the first thing she messaged back was, wait, the games are $90?
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Memory says, honestly shocked we didn't get more brand new first game parties than third party games. Keyrock says, the worst part is that I know, we all know that big and first party games almost never go on sale or come down in price. You will still pay $80 for 3-year-old games 3 years from now. True. And Gravwell says, the Switch 2 Direct amounts to cool software and hardware, but when you go to the website, you know why they left pricing out of the show. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like I said, it was a great Direct, and then the prices.
Yeah, right. Okay, there's a lot to digest here. Lots to digest here with Blabs VI and me. But this is, I don't know how, like I said, I feel like those are really just overall thoughts. I thought that the Nintendo Direct was really solid. My only concern is the price point, not the fact that the games are $90 or $80. It's that fact that they were $60 and $70. And I think from a generic consumer perspective, your mom and dad who are buying those games, going in and looking at those games, when you're at Target and you're looking at the Switch games that are $60 and you look at the Switch 2 games that are $90, I think that the average parent is going to look to the Switch 1. I think it's just strictly about sticker shock. It has nothing to do with the pricing. Yes, I get the inflation argument. I totally understand it. Games back in the day, they were all sorts of crazy expensive. I was there. I experienced it. But from a sticker shock perspective, it's something that has to be considered. I'm sure Nintendo's already done that. And I'm sure that they know that they can price their games at $80 and $90. But that doesn't justify it. No, it has nothing to do with tariffs. Because if tariffs were a part of it, then they should have said that. They say, hey, tariffs made us increase our price to $90. The digital will now still say be $60 or $70, but that's not what they did. So I don't want to hear about the tariffs. It's a non-issue. It's a fail-safe. It is something that is just being thrown out there by people who don't know what they're talking about. It has nothing to do with tariffs. So that's my overall thoughts on it. I am looking forward to the games. Will I end up buying one? I don't know. I think a lot of people will be in the wait and see camp for sure. All right, we have this. Worthy One says, did I miss something? Why does Blabs look like an extra in a Vanilla Ice music video?
Honestly, just rewind, man. Just yo, rewind.
The problem is, Blabs, is that they can't see your hat. They don't know that it's a Nintendo hat.
I'm a Nintendo shoe.
There you go. That's good. Thank you, Blabs. And then we got Sun Wuku came in and for 15 months as the price point of the games is reminiscent of what happened back when the Super Nintendo came out. The same argument can be made back then as well. Thank you, Sun Wuku. Appreciate that. All right, guys, let's head over to Plus. You guys watching over on Kick, thank you guys very much for tuning in. Genuinely appreciate you guys. You guys have a great rest of your day. And I'm sorry that we dual streamed over there, but it is what it is. We'll figure it out. You guys watching over on Rumble, join us over at Side Scrollers Plus. Use promo code April. Get $30 off. You only have 2 more days to use that code. So join us over there. You guys in Rumble. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. And you guys tuning in over on YouTube. Look, we want to hear what you guys have to say. Head over to Plus. Join our call-in show. Extra show for Plus. And let's leave it all on the floor there. I want to hear your pure, unfiltered thoughts on all this. And we'll have some great discussion. You guys over on YouTube, have a great day. Remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got a goal. Go get it. See you guys later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Brutality.
One more. There we go.
Ow.